Hey you! Welcome back to the channel. Extra Techie here, back with a book review of The Rising Storm. But before we get into that, and only if you found this video helpful, like, share it, and leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. This is going to be a multi-part series review as we're reading this right now, so hit that bell for notifications when videos go live. Thanks very much, and may the Force be with you. Oh, you're still here. Thanks for sticking with me. Now, what are the prerequisites of this book? Do we need to know anything about it? Well, this is the second book in the adult novel series focusing on the High Republic. Set 200 years before the Skywalker saga, the High Republic follows the Knights of the Jedi Order as they handle threats to the galaxy at large and protect the citizens of each world from the Outer Rim all the way to the core. The Light of the Jedi is the first in the series, and there are other books and comics that lightly tie into the story, but it's highly recommended that you read Light of the Jedi. We won't be going over this in too much detail in this series, but maybe sometime in the future. Instead, we'll be focusing in, again, on The Rising Storm. You ready? Set? Let's get reading. Oh, now our goal here is to give you a summary of the book, some interesting details that I find compelling and thought-provoking, and my overall impressions of the book as we read it. Feel free to drop questions in the comments below, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Let's dive in.
The galaxy celebrates. With the dark days of the hyperspace disaster behind them, Chancellor Lina So pushes ahead with the latest of her great works. The Republic Fair will be her finest hour, a celebration of peace, unity, and hope on the frontier world of Valo. But an insatiable horror appears on the horizon. One by one, planets fall as the carnivorous Drengir consume all life in their path. As Jedi Master Avar Kriss leads the battle against the terror, Nihil forces gather in secret for the next stage of Marchion Ro's diabolical plan. Only the noble Jedi Knights stand in Ro's way, but even the protectors of light and life are not prepared for the terrible darkness that lies ahead. Prologue. Ashla, Moon of Tython. Elzar Mann struggles where he left off in Light of the Jedi, needing to know more of the dark vision that he saw. He travels to Tython for answers. Plunges into the sea. Now, Elzar Mann is one of 3 Jedi who have prominence in the Order. We have Elzar Mann, Avar Kriss, the hero of Hetzel, and Stellan Gios, who has been promoted to council member of the Jedi Council. Elzar Mann is a free-flowing Jedi who speaks to the ocean as his way to communicate with the Force, but he has independent thoughts, and this dark vision has his friends in danger, sort of like Luke. Empire Strikes Back. We'll see what happens. Chapter 1. The Ristan Badlands. Udi Dis is a bird-like creature that has a connection to the Force, which makes him a good pilot. However, he is no Jedi, as he is on a secret mission with Marchion Ro, our big baddie from Light of the Jedi. Leader, or the Eye, of the Nihil, Marchion has a long-term plan for the Jedi and the destruction of the Republic. But the point of this chapter is to exclaim that the Nihil has a Force-sensitive user, and that is no good. On page 15 in the first paragraph, and to explain further that Udi Dis is strong with the Force. His mind was clear for the first time in years, his connection to the Force stronger than ever. There was no way he could have made it through the ice field when he was on Reed. He owed Ro so much. Chapter 2. The Cycler Shipyards. Bel Zettifar and Indira Stokes look on as a new technological ship is being manufactured for the Great Works. an initiative created by Chancellor Lena So, who also spearheaded Starlight Beacon. Some dialogue is exchanged between the two, and Belle is sad for Loden, who we lost in the last book. Stellan Geos calls for an update, which goes smoothly until Indira and Belle feel a disturbance in the Force. Some of that interesting dialogue includes this. Besides, no one is ever really gone. No matter what happens, Loden will be with you now and forever. He is part of all of us now. Nice little nod, The Last Jedi. Chapter 3, Safrifa. Ty Yorick is a new character to the Rising Storm. She is a mercenary for hire, and what I can assume is a possible former Jedi. She appears to be a ruthless warrior with a kind soul. She agrees to help an indigenous people kill a monster that is slaying their children. I wonder what this monster could be. She has a YT freighter, which is kinda neat, and I am digging the coolness of her character so far. Just to confirm her mercenary ways, Ty wasn't any other merc. Bad things happened, and you dealt with it. There was no point wasting time or effort on battles you didn't need to have, especially if no one was paying you. More on her ship, a battered YT-750 freighter. Didn't have a name, only a registry number logged in the Republic records. Several numbers, actually, depending on the job or employer. Kind of sound familiar, like one Han Solo? And one thing about Ty Yorick that makes her kind soul, she just needs to hear 4 magical words. Will you help us? Chapter 4, Back to Rastan. Marchion, Ro, and Udi meet a cousin of Marchion called Kufa. It's very cold where they are. They travel to the shrine. To what end and why? Unknown at this time. They enter the Labyrinth. Some dialogue between Kufa and Marchion. Marchion, 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 she wheezed with familiar joy. You have come back to us, finally. You have returned to the path. What the heck does that mean? Chapter 5, Back to the Cycler Shipyards. Belle and Indira's premonition was right. A Nile cloud ship drops out of hyperspace and starts firing on the new ship. Part of Pan-Ata's Tempest, they are after the scientific vessel. Belle and Indira hop into their vectors, ships that Jedi fly, to try to hold off the attackers. Backup arrives and they head to the cloud ship. Now, a little sidebar before we move on. Let's just look at the formation of the Nile so you have a better understanding. Marchion Ro sits at the top of the Nile. The Nile consists of 3 tempests. Each tempest has a leader. Pan-Ata is one of these leaders. He then controls several clouds. Clouds control strikes, and it just works itself down and down and down. This attack is by a cloud who is under Pan-Ata, so it's important to know that the structure of the Nile is sort of in like a Ponzi scheme sort of way, where you start from the bottom and you try to work your way up. So there you go, formation of the Nile and structure of the Nile for your pleasure. Speaking of the Nile, on the Nile cloud ship, the seething lump of Gluven hate known as Sarn Starbreaker eyed the shipyards hungrily. He sounds great. I found this interesting, so Bel Zettifar shoots one of the strikes down and sort of celebrates in the death of a Nile because the Nile sort of killed off his master in the last book. Spoiler. And Indira senses this feeling and says, "Careful, Padawan, do not glory in the death of your enemy. That way leads to the dark side." And then Bel felt a sudden flash of resentment, which he instantly fought to quash. Indira was right. He had felt satisfaction at the Nile's demise. Satisfaction that was fueled by the feelings he tried so hard to ignore. Anger, grief. He still had much to learn. Chapter 6, Back to Safrifa. Ty Yorick encounters a Drengir, a sentient plant species waking up from a dormant state. First read about in Into the Dark and the comic series High Republic. As the Drengir gets the upper hand, Tai Yorik's purple lightsaber cuts through the middle. She then proceeds to cut the plant into strips and burns them so it can't regenerate. Considering the difficulty that our other heroes and other mediums have had against the Drengir, this is quite phenomenal. Once Tai is done, she makes her way back, only to meet someone new and get another job. So there's definitely evidence of Tai Yorik's connection to the Force and the potential of her being a former Jedi. She pushed back, sending a telekinetic wave against the creature strong enough to break the neck of an Acklay or maybe even a Rogwart, but not a Drengir. Never a Drengir. Did they even have necks? Tai leapt, higher than it should have been possible for her or any Tholithian to jump. She didn't make it to the canopy of Karenga trees, but managed to grab a low-lying bough that stretched from one tree to another. The branch bowed, dropping her perilously close to the Drengir, the creature bellowing in hunger. Even more evidence of Jedi-like actions. Tai visualized her weapon in her mind, its long grip, the vicious spikes that would have so disappointed the old Azamel who taught her to build it, the focusing lens, the emitter, the activation switch. Purple light flared beneath the Drengir and Tai pulled up with all her might. Now came the hard work. Hacking the dormant Drengir into strips, hanging them from the branches of the nearest tree, and then waiting for them to dry out enough to catch light. She probably had enough fuel in the microflamer in her belt to start a small bonfire. That would be enough until every scrap was burned.
Hey, thanks for watching. This is the end of this part in the Rising Storm, and I thank you for watching the whole video, stopping it, looking back, and overall just being here. It really helps the channel. You know what would really help the channel also? Share the video, like it, comment on it, subscribe to the channel, share it out, spread the good news of the High Republic. It's not really known in mass media just yet, although this is on some sort of bestsellers list, so that's great. But we need more people to know about the High Republic. I'm looking forward to reading more into the High Republic, and I look forward to you to come back to the next part of the video. Again, subscribe, hit the bell for the next video, and we'll see you next time. Rising Storm, for light and life.